Hi, my name is Noni Matikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about Ndanzi and the cell phone evidence and Baloyi and the frustration that we are all having. I'm thinking if the people that are sitting in that courtroom, they are frustrated with Baloyi. Okay. So we are dealing with something that is quite annoying. And I don't even know whether what we are watching is positive for the defense at this point. Uh, in fact, let me say it is positive for the defense because it's exposing a lot of rot and a lot of rotten potatoes there, and it is also not just exposing; it is also revealing a lot about the police that had the phone of Ndanzi. Do you understand? So when Danzi keeps saying, if the phone was with me, then it should have been everywhere that I was, that statement alone um, exposes the co-witness in the state case that it's depending on something that is, oh God, it's so annoying. I do not want to even lie to you. They keep repeating the Queenswood Tower, yet in Ndanzi was everywhere else in that Pretoria Tonton. So the obvious question is, where was the phone when Ndanzi was not in Pretoria North or Pretoria Mort, or what was the other one? Primrose Police Station. Why does it show the only the Queenswood Tower? Why is it only showing that? Why aren't they showing other police stations, other towers that are closer to other police stations? That's the question that now is coming to mind. If the phone was truly in the possession of Ndanzi, then wherever Ndanzi went, the phone should have pinged there as well. Even without calls or messages, movement data should reflect that the phone traveled with Ndanzi. If he says he was at Primrose on the 28th of October, the phone must confirm Primrose, nothing else. Unless, of course, the phone was with him. I mean, the phone was not with him at all, but rather in police possession. That would explain why phone appears wherever the police were. And that is exactly why the state is avoiding this line of questioning, because the moment it's raised, the next question becomes unavoidable. How does a handcuffed suspect inside a police vehicle make calls? When exactly did he get the opportunity? Where were the police when he was making the so-called calls? Do you get where I'm going with this? And also, the person that is making all of this to be a problem is Judge Ratamu Khwatleng. Why is he allowing all of this to happen? Judge Ratamu Khwatleng ruled at some point that evidence must be grouped and that the court must be told what the evidence is meant to prove. But instead of doing that now, the state insists on reading every single transaction, including those that are clearly man-made records. If the point is simple to prove Ndanzi had a phone, why are we going through all of this? Why burden the court with endless entries? What must happen? Also now, if you remember yesterday, which was Thursday, the tactic of the phone evidence change again. Read it this way, interpret it that way, but changing how something is read doesn't fix the underlying flaws. If the underlying flaws are there, they are not going to help us. Guys, it's so frustrating to watch the case. It's so frustrating, I promise you. But the one thing that I am appreciating is that they keep scoring their own goals. We are there every time they try to open their mouths. What are we left with? Own goals. Every time. Their location contradictions. Ndanzi asked a simple question, and it was very devastating. That question was very devastating. If I had the phone. Why does it only appear in Pretoria when I was moving around? Movement must match movement. It doesn't. It's like the Queenswood Tower. And also, the second goal that they dealt with was that USSD. They showed us kiosk transactions now. Untanzi explained that the star number combination related to a number that was bought for my friend, Emma Kulin. So what exactly is the state alleging here? Buying airtime through my friend Emma Kuleni is not proof of personal possession, is it? Just because Untanzi says, hey, I know this USSD, I used it when I bought airtime Emma Kuleni. And the other one, that the other goal, it was the documentary chaos, guys. Jonas identified discrepancies even himself. The prosecutor searches for a document for over 3 minutes, to an extent long enough that Judge Rata was like, he considered, Ukuti, we can take an adjournment. When the document is found, the wrong time is read onto the record. Jonas corrects Ubaloyi, and yet no judicial intervention happened there. That alone raises the question, what document are we actually being asked to believe here? The bigger problem the state avoids, after all of this, the state wants to move straight to confessions as if the groundwork has been laid. It hasn't. Someone please tell them that you have not started to do your job. There's nothing there. It's empty. Someone needs to tell him. How on earth, there are two unanswered questions here. They are remaining and they are vital. Number one, how is it possible that Ntanzi allegedly had his phone for months, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March? Yet there are no police calls during that period. Are we seriously expected to believe he waited until September, October, November, August, September, October, November to contact his family and friends? But he was arrested in June. Really? Also, what about illegal possession of the phone? We are told we will get there. We are still waiting. The question they will never answer, though. Let's strip it down. How did correctional services fail to detect a cell phone if Ntanzi was with Ntanzi was not with correctional services by the time of the phone? It was SAPS. How did they fail to detect a cell phone? How was it charged? And how did the battery last for this so long? How did it survive all these months without access and without charging? Where is the evidence of charging times? Where is the supervision failure? The issues are never canvassed because once they are, the entire phone narrative collapses. So yes, this is becoming boring every day, not because it lacks drama, but because the state is allowed to repeat numbers endlessly while avoiding the real questions. We will see whether they will ever address them. History suggests they won't. Anyway, what are your thoughts when it comes to all of this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.